Welcome to the DSQ podcast with Blake Lawson and Dakota Reynolds.
You totally have Valtteri crashing into Lance next race, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Lap 2?
I was thinking
turn
lap
two?
3.
Huh.
They get a little bit of DS in there first. Let Max really take off first.
Yeah, fair enough. Welcome to Japan, everybody. Well, I wish we were
Come
in
on and
Japan.
slam.
Lord, I wish we were in Japan or in Space Jam. Life would be a whole lot easier. Japanese Grand Prix. It was fun.
It was early.
It was
slash late.
Yeah, it was definitely early / late. It is almost the last late / early race that we'll have to deal with this year. Because being American on a European schedule sucks, even though it's an Asian country.
We just got to get through. Well, at least we got a week off. We got China. My first China race. Woo!
Woo!
Hopefully. I don't know. This is a good track.
I mean, it's okay. I don't have many complaints about it whenever I race it on the game. The most boring part of it, I think, is turn 1 into turn 2, because it's like a fucking turn in that goes really, really slow, and there's a turn out that goes really, really slow. But after that, it's just fucking... It's a candlestick. Think of a candlestick, and that's what the track looks like.
Interesting. We can talk about it a little bit. It's what we look forward to next. But we were talking about Japan. A good weekend. I'll be honest, we're sitting here looking at this of like, there's not a whole lot to talk about, kind of. It was a good race. It was eventful. We had some fun on the track, but...
It was a race, yeah. I mean, it just sort of happened.
It was just a good race. Nothing too crazy except for the couple little things.
Lap 1.
Incident.
To start with, there were a absolute load of new parts taken, though. We had new gearboxes for the Merc racers, and then the engine parts, dear lord. So Checo, Lewis, Ocon, Yuki all took new ICEs, turbochargers, MGUHs, and MGUKs. All fucking engine parts in there somewhere. Alpine took new control electronics, and then Checo, Lewis, Charles, Carlos, Ocon, Pierre, and Yuki all took new exhausts. Which I feel like Esteban was in another section of that, and I just didn't add him in there, but I specifically noted that Esteban had the F1 car of Theseus this week. Because it's essentially just a brand new car worth of parts.
I was like, that's Williams.
Well, yeah, at this point it's definitely Williams. It'll be both Williamses. Oh, God. That's all the pre-race stuff I have, other than, like, the bit about quali. Like, I did note. So, they were showing the outro to, like, the pre-quali show before they got into quali. There was a little, they showed the one thing that Sauber is good at on the pit crew, and that is apparently catching stuff coming flying at them. They had like a little piece of like debris or whatever. Fucking car took off, dude caught it, and was amazing. Hello, can we help you?
So I don't know if you hear the cat deciding to destroy the backdrop. Hello. Anyway, Luna, her first appearance on the podcast. Yeah, that was a pretty good catch, actually. That was the one thing I noted as well. Because, honestly, practices, I mean, FP2, wash. FP1, Logan. I mean, that's not anything different.
It's not anything different, but man, Williams feels like they're cursed at this point.
Yeah. So, Logan's in the cursed chassis. Alex is the chassis cursor?
At this point, I assume so.
I guess let's get into the race part. And, of course, it happened nice and early, so we can talk about it nice and early. Alex and Daniel Ricciardo, like, hey, driver in trouble at one team. Hey, driver who's better than the other person, but still kind of struggling. And it's the Predator handshake meme. Turn 5? Whatever turn that was.
It was very early.
It was very early.
Like, it was definitely in the first 5 turns, but I think it was slightly earlier than that, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
Good lord. I think we're sat there, of course, at midnight, which, again, isn't too bad.
Yeah,
Really.
I was like, staying up is better than having to wake up.
Yeah. Because Singapore's going to be like, what, 2 a.m.? China's going to be like 2 a.m.
China's 2 a.m., yeah.
Oh, boy, we have to look forward to that.
That is the latest race that we have.
It's like about 10 minutes in after, all the fluff and all that. It's like, okay, cool, we're going to stay here for 45 minutes because they destroyed the tire wall.
Absolutely destroyed it. I was like, I think at one point Albon was buried under the tire wall.
Yeah, it looked like a one-car wreck because it was just completely obfuscated by the tire wall. That is now the tire everywhere else. And so it did come out today, or obviously the race still happened today, technically in our time, but it came out here within the last couple hours that car is going to have to then be flown back to the UK for repairs and then back to China. So Alex Albon is definitely head of the deconstructors this year. So there's the podium for Williams you predicted. Number 1 in the deconstructor.
Yeah, baby.
Which I think Logan was anyway last year. So
yeah, no, I mean, that seems par for the course.
Other than that, it was a good race.
It was an alright race. I was like, there was definitely some good racing going on, and I was here for it. But most of the race was kind of a snore fest.
Yep, you had, I guess, in chronological order, next kind of thing was kind of, and this was until later, Zhou having to retire because of another issue with that Sauber car, and that was the gearbox. It wasn't a wheel nut flying across and, breaking something or a wing flying off, but still more issues for Sauber that they really need to fix. Yeah. They need to get, whatever. Put the person who caught whatever that piece of debris was in charge of everything, because clearly they're the only person.
They're the only competent person on the pit wall at this point. Yeah, no, I feel for them. I was like, if it's not one thing, it's another. I was like, at the very least, their car didn't blue screen this race, but a gearbox issue is not fun going into race 3, 4?
4.
4.
It's race 4.
It's race 4 out of 24 races.
So
many races.
We owe Steve so much royalty money for that. Oh, God.
Let's not talk about it. He'll never see this. He'll never know about it.
They have their own F1 podcast. And then it's how bad Sauber is. It's like Valtteri had a solid 4.0 stationary time, and that was awesome, sweet. That was great. That's the best they could do. That's a huge win for the Sauber team.
We're cheering for a 4-second pit stop instead of a 40-second pit stop.
Which Valtteri did have a good race. He gained, correct?
Valtteri did not gain. He lost one place.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I feel like he had a good. Maybe how bad Sauber is.
To be fair, there was a lot of moving up and down in that section of the race standing there. I was like, that whole section was fighting towards the end. So
yeah, because we did have some racing. Ferrari had no team orders. Carlos went through. No, kind of maybe battled a little bit, but
I don't think there was much. I think Charles, and I'll get into it later on, but Charles already had it set in his mind that he was not going to push that too hard. I was like, I'm sure, yeah, he was definitely told, hey, feel free to fight it out, but I think he opted to not bother too much with it. He just wanted to maintain place, get as many points for the team as he possibly could.
And same thing with Lewis. Lewis recognizing he was definitely doesn't have the pace, so just letting George just go through without a problem. And then lots of overpasses in the pit lane on that one.
Oh, God.
Which gave Yuki probably the best chance he got to secure his 1 point at his home race.
Absolutely.
Finally getting points at his home race.
Stellar pit stop leading to an absolutely stellar race conclusion.
And leading into the next thing, that was the one thing I heard Matt from P1 complaining about, was that we didn't see that pit stop on the broadcast.
Yeah, no pit stop for that.
We did see it after, but yeah, it would have been nice to see. But it is a pit stop. But it brings me to what I did want to say is the direction this weekend seemed pretty good.
Yeah, it did seem better.
We were in charge of it, but
yeah, no. We joked very early on that we were in charge of we had the script for the race because every time we would bring something up, they would immediately either talk about it, the camera would cut to it, or it would happen. It was very uncanny. We're talking 20, 30 times this weekend. So it was very odd. I did mention very early, in the qualifying and whatnot, that I was kind of irritated because I needed some useful picture-in-picture because we were we were seeing just a picture-in-picture of Christian Horner on the pit wall while Max is setting a lap. And I was like, Max is not in danger here. There's no, like, hey, this kid might not race for us if he doesn't do well. Why do we need to see Horner in this?
Yeah.
But then the race surprised me because we had Max that was going in for his pit stop. We needed to make sure he was going to come out, like where he was going to come out at and everything. But they pictured that while we had an actual battle on the main camera. And I thought that was phenomenal.
And obviously they cut to Max for crossing the finish line. That's perfectly fine. Of course you're going to see that.
Yeah.
But then they immediately cut to Checo, too, crossing. Like, they didn't focus on Max on the main picture as much as they normally do. Same thing with, they would check in with Max, like when he would set a fastest time, just quick little picture-in-picture. He had the new gimbal cam, which I love. It's amazing. That needs to be the default camera from now on. Okay, cool. There's Max. Anyway, let's go back to Lance yelling.
I was like, I get Max is our golden boy. He's our champion and whatnot. He makes it a little boring, and I would like to see actual battles on track, not just the man who has way too much skill for his own good, just destroying the rest of the track by 2 laps. Insanely boring.
Yeah. So, better direction. I like it. I know that obviously the worst one is usually Monaco, but last year FOM had control, so let's see if they do it better this year as well.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see. Again, it'll be my first watching a China race, so I'll see how that works.
I haven't watched one live, but I have seen ones being played back. Like, I've been through whole replays of that. So, again, we'll see. I was like, it should be a fun race. There's a lot of straights, so.
Good. So Red Bull is gonna win, probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
But I mean that was given anyways.
Yeah.
I feel like I was like, Ferrari's giving them a run for their money in the constructors championship at least. They'll have to go back a little bit, but carry on.
Well, I was gonna say bringing it up slightly then, and then talking about straight line speeds. We were both surprised Lance was doing some actual good.
Oh my god!
Open wheel racing.
Actual racing. I was like, they cut to one little strip where he made like 2 or 3 overtakes. I was like, wow. I was very surprised by this. This is not who replaced this man?
Yeah.
Who replaced this man with a clone?
It's like, wait, we haven't seen Seb this weekend. Hold on. And then he proved us all back to normal Stroll and then very much emo teenagers voice crack screaming in the radio about the straight line speeds, which Mike Crack did go out and say, he's talking about the tire strategy, not the car. Like, okay, sure. I mean, he did do the passes. He did do the pass in the chicane, so he wasn't doing any passes on the DRS like most of the other. See, with the nature of Suzuka, most of those are the DRS overpasses and straight overpasses.
I was like, and to be fair, that's most of F1 at this point anyways, is we're in the DRS era of racing where everything's done via passing by DRS, especially if you're a Red Bull. But to see some actual
Lockheed Martin engine and are gone.
To open up the flaps on your helmet and whatnot. No, it legitimately to see some good like corner racing, late braking, stuff like that. Not George Russell late braking, but some late braking. It's fun. It brings some excitement back to the sport.
Before you into the Russell late braking thing, I'll say that it did kind of remind me of the joke I made. Is one of the changes Under Park Firm made. It was just funny because it was the first one because obviously it's in number order. Was Red Bull switched out Max's headrest. So we made the joke that make sure we watch it closely. There's going to be a little DRS flap that opens up in the headrest. The only other kind of big thing, well, again, Logan did go off again, but he did not. He kept out of the wall. He backed up.
He's gotten really good at finding the reverse gear in the clutch.
He was a little dusty. He had a little bit green tires, but then he slapped on some softs and had some fun.
Yeah.
Only other thing was in that last chicane with Oscar and George. George kind of doing the George Russell thing.
Sent it.
And Oscar being like, well, that wasn't very fun anyway. In the calmest voice possible because he's just the Zen master.
Yeah, Oscar just exists when it comes to race time. Like, racing seems to bore him, but he's decent at it. So that's what he does for money.
He's like Max with sim racing. But yeah, so all the incidents, both with the lap 1 and then the lap 50 incident, just all racing incidents, though. No, oh no, sorry. There was one, but it was the pit lane with
George Russell.
George Russell, which did result in just a fine.
FIA is really not beating these British bias allegations. Like, the fine for George when Yuki also had a unsafe release situation pre-race and then got time penaltied for it, whereas he just gets the fine. And then George Russell absolutely sending it on Piastri in the middle of the chicane and not getting penalized for it, which, sure, I can see it, but still, I was like, it is still lending to that British bias.
Yep. So, even though it seems like Williams will have some more issues rebuilding a car, I guess we did there was some funny after, I guess, a edit from after the race I saw on reel that I showed you a little bit ago was cuts of like the spun out Daniel Ricciardo RB and then just zooming out to, or no, it was Danny on the pit wall or in the garage rewatching the thing and then just going back with Liam just standing there
watching from behind.
And then it zoom in on there was some really good camera. I think the camera guys are just here to
having fun this week.
Had zoomed into reflection of the of Fred and the Ferrari pit wall, and then zoom back out and pan to deadpan Toto, just his stoic Toto-ness. And then again Ferrari pit wall, and then reflection zooms through the pit wall to Christian and Adrian on the Red Bull one. So I think they were having fun. They were kind of, I think, also bored. Like, well, we'll act like the Drive to Survive crew and put some of this drama up here.
Putting in your application for it. This is your resume.
But it was a good race, but I think nothing too exciting. Of course, Red Bull 1-2. Even the cool-down room was kind of eh. Like, usually we get some cool little talks. It was kind of just... We got the classic Checo looking confused and not knowing what to do, because that's Checo.
That's just default mode for Checo.
Yeah, that was kind of it. Like I said, it wasn't a bad race. I don't feel disappointed, but also just like...
It just happened. There's not a whole lot to talk about with it. It happened.
It happened. You'd be grateful it did happen. Or whatever. Because with, the rain possibility, because it did rain, obviously, in FP2, and then the tsunami off the coast. So we could have not had a race, depending how some of those unfortunate incidents would have gone, so...
Yeah.
I mean, look at Imola.
Yeah, well, very true. Which, by the way, that's... points on that. I think I put that it would not rain during the Grand Prix just because of the weather, or the time shift to the earlier in the year. So, which should be points on that. Fingers crossed.
I think we both got points because I think we did discuss that as because it rained on the first day, but it did not rain in quali or the actual race. So does that? Yeah, I think we counted that it counts that it doesn't count if it happened during the practice sessions.
Correct.
So I think we both get 10 points there on our predictions for the year.
Woo!
But gosh, I think we're going to lose a lot of those other ones.
Yeah.
Alpine. Thanks, Alpine.
Thanks, Alpine.
All right, do you want to get to Driver of the Day?
Driver of the Day!
Which I think you're more enthusiastic than I am about it. I, of course, voted for Yuki because it's his home race. He got points.
He got 8 points. Slow down.
He got 8 points. He got 8 points. But he got 8 points total now.
Something like that, yeah. Sounds right.
He's ahead of Ollie, thank God. But, I guess what was your vote?
I also voted Yuki, yeah. I was like, it's the same reason as you. It's some race. He actually did score a point. Decent racing.
He raced very well. He got overtakes done. Of course, the pit thing was good. You could hear him on the radio without sensors. But of course, Charles Leclerc won because he did 5 places.
Leclerc did 4 places.
4 places. It was 5, but then Carlos.
Carlos Sainz, driver for Ferrari.
Yep.
For the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year. You want to start with 3 stars? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, you're good. We can roll into 3 stars. That'll work. All right. So, for mine, my third star was Yuki Tsunoda. Again, point at his home Grand Prix. Decent racing, had the good pit stop.
Good quality.
Good quality. Almost didn't get lapped at the end.
Almost
Just got
didn't
eked out by Max. But it was very close. It was like lap 52, I think, whenever he got lapped. So not too bad. Fantastic form. Number 2, I feel bad that I'm starting to put this person on a pedestal, and it really scares me. But my number 2 was Lance Stroll.
Really?
It was fun to watch his overtakes, and he had, again, legitimately good racing throughout the entire Grand Prix. He's keeping his nose clean for the most part. He's not sending it into people. I think he's actually learned what a mirror is.
He walked down the pit lane after quali with his trainer and didn't shove him.
No physical abuse or anything. I don't like putting him on a pedestal, but he deserves it, in my opinion. He's done good work for the past couple of races. Fingers crossed he can continue. It wouldn't disappoint me if he did, but it's just odd for him. Again, who cloned this man and replaced him?
And altered the DNA to be more race forward.
Yeah. And then my number 1 was Charles Leclerc. Got good quality points, finished P4, gained 4 positions from his starting position, had good teamwork, let Carlos through basically. And something that I read behind the scenes, because we typically don't sit there and listen to the actual radio calls throughout it, he actually made his strategy up this race. Like he is the reason why he had a 1-stop. Ferrari was going to put him onto a 2-stop, and he questioned it. He gave them a suggested strategy alteration. They said, hey, if we do this, you can't lose time to this person and this person. He said, bet. And he proved that it worked. And so they were like, all right, cool, we'll do that. We'll put you on the 1-stop, and gave him the position that he had. And it helped, because I remember looking at the end where it gave Charles, like, if he had done a 2-stop, he would have been predicted down in P7, according to Amazon Web Services and their AI technology. But yeah, good work from him.
I mean, it proved that Carlos and Charles are the strategy department at Ferrari.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess I didn't think about that. That was one thing I was going to mention. Is we did very, obviously, with the washout in FP2, and it's kind of the different year, or the different time of year for the circuit, as well as the temperature on race day was just so different from the previous 2 days, with obviously of the washout and everything. Mm-hmm. Is they didn't have a whole lot of their, obviously there's 3 practice sessions. They have a lot of data and a lot of quality run stuff to go through on strategy. So it's kind of fun. It was chaos on strategy. We had 5 or so different drivers that were on all 3 compounds, used all 3 compounds during the race. We had a couple of chaos, obviously, with, the red flag before Sector 1 was even over, so some guys that were on softs were like, okay, we'll just do a long stint and see how we can shake this up. So I guess that would be the one talking point, is like, Suzuka's the technical track, the strategy track, but even so more right now, which is awesome, because we had Bernie Collins on the
football
or on race control this week, which is always awesome. So
yeah, no, is definitely it's the technical track, and having it early makes it a track where you can really experiment with stuff.
Yeah, which is probably why there were so many different parts. Like, okay, we just got through like 3 high-speed street-ish circuits. I mean, obviously, they're all street circuits, but some are more streety than others. Apart from that, and then we'll see. Not that Logan got to use the new package for God. Well, Logan, buddy, America, my American brother, please figure it out.
America, explain.
My 3 stars, I struggled with the 3 stars, because it was like, I got to give it to people who do well, and even if they do well every single week because they are the golden racer of this generation, they still do a good job. They still deserve our made-up ranking on our podcast that we record at 11:49 at night. But there's also like, so I ended up, even though I gave driver a day to Yuki, I didn't end up giving him a star.
Fair enough.
But he still did great. Because obviously my third is Verstappen, because it's been proven at this point that it's not just the car, it's not just Max, it's both of them. It can get fucked up. So Max actually does make a difference. And also, the comparison I made a little bit ago is, I want a side-by-side of the way he treats Penelope versus how his dad treats him. Because I feel like Max is doing a much better job than Joss was.
Oh, absolutely.
And given the circumstances, which if you don't know, look it up, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Given all the... But that was just awesome because he was just so happy for Max. And because he won, it means that Penelope was not the bad juju, which maybe... or like a unlucky charm, but luckily not.
Bad luck charm.
Yeah. My second one, I didn't want to give it to Charles, but I did because he did do 4 spots. He did race. He did do the team stuff. Like, it was a good race. There was no reason to not give it to him. So even though I wanted also to give it to Checo, because Checo did great too. Obviously, he's the other Red Bull. He's supposed to do good, but he's proven that he may struggle every now and then. But like, he was doing the overtakes on 130R, just kept it tight, kept it good. Was not as much of a gap. I mean, there's always going to be a gap with Max, but proving that Checo definitely still deserves a seat. So I still want to give it to him, but Charles gets it. And number 1, I still think he is the best racer, non-Red Bull racer out there. I still gave it to Carlos as the number 1 racer, or number 1 star for this race.
Very fair.
Again, we'll tone down on the whole, he just got his appendix removed. Oh my god, he was being in a hospital a week ago and now he's winning. Like, we'll calm down on that because he's a professional athlete and he's got a very good team around him to help him everything, and I'm not taking that away from him, but still, I think Carlos is doing an incredible job when other drivers would be like, because he does not have anything past Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, no.
So
it's
here in
this
7 months' time,
next 20 races are his resume.
Yeah. And so far it's looking so good, but there's so much. It's like, yeah.
I keep throwing people at Williams, but could you imagine Carlos in a Williams?
It would be fun for Williams, but
not fun for Carlos.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be fun if this is their rebuild year. It's like, obviously they're going through replacing a whole bunch of stuff, but get all of that fixed.
It's a rebuild year in more than one way. It's rebuild the chassis every week year.
Yeah, no kidding. God. I mean,
I think Carlos deserves to go somewhere.
He definitely deserves to go somewhere. It's just moving everyone else around. Yeah.
And I don't want to see him go back, even though Checo is proving, he started good last year, obviously. We were still some doubts towards the middle and the end of the year. If Checo doesn't stay, I don't want to see him go back to Red Bull because he's a former Red Bull driver. Mm-hmm. And it feels like any former Red Bull driver is just, they got screwed over. That's why they left. But apart from Seb, I think Seb just, Ferrari dream.
Yeah, I mean,
they crushed him for that dream. Yeah. Lewis, your next buddy.
Good luck, Lewis. God, they really do have a history of just taking world championship quality drivers and sticking them in the mud.
So that's why I'm going to give unless Sainz does a major mistake, I think he's the top contender for the rest of this season.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I'm sure Charles is going to be too, but
oh, absolutely. I was like, it will be a fight till the end, I assume.
But there's a lot more on the line for Carlos than Charles. So.
Yeah.
All right, China. Anything else we didn't talk about for China coming up here in another week and a half or 2 weeks, whatever? It's still Sunday. It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's still Sunday. China, no, not specifically. I was like, again, it's not something that I've watched live, but it's something that I've seen before. It's something that I've driven. Seems like it'd be a fun track. There's a lot of different aspects to it. The really slow corners. I think there's a couple of quick corners in it, and then just the straightaways.
I was gonna say, I know Alex has had a big shunt there, so while racing was it for Red Bull or was it for Toro?
It would have, I think, been for Red Bull.
So Here's my, not that we do predictions, especially the week before. Not we do anything like pre-race stuff other than our big preseason prediction thing, but this is more not prediction, is more trying to manifest or will it to existence. I want Zhou to do good at his home race, his first home race.
Yeah, same.
So Sauber, get your shit together, please. Let him have a good home race. That is my prediction / manifesting into the universe of please do it.
It would be nice to see Zhou do well.
And
Just in general, but yeah, absolutely. At
Alex,
this home
keep it out
race.
of the fucking wall.
Please! Please! You don't know how upset I was to see him in the wall. Oh my god. I saw it was a Williams. I was like, oh no.
I was like, either way, it's oh no.
Either way, it's oh no, but I was like, extra oh no, because I saw it was a Williams and I saw that it was a RB, and I thought we were both
Yeah, I was like,
screwed.
okay, there's our boys are out. Our boys are out 30 or 17 seconds to the race.
Yeah.
Fuck. We stayed up for this shit. Oh, man. All right. Anything else for China or anything else?
Only other thing that I've got Japan-wise is the grid rundown for finishing.
I always forget.
It's all
awful.
good.
I was more impressed. We're at 30 minutes. We managed to somehow fill 30 minutes on what we didn't think
On
to.
30 minutes, yeah, on absolutely nothing. All right, first two spots are just a given. It's Max and Sergio. They didn't
What?
move any.
No. To quote the Jeff Ramsey. What?
What? No! Yeah, no movement from them. Carlos Sainz gained a position, finished P3.
Woo.
Charles gained 4 positions, finished P4. Lando lost 2 in P5. Fernando lost 1 in P6. George gained 2, P7. Oscar lost 2, P8. P9 was Lewis, who also lost 2. Yuki did not change. He started 10th, finished 10th, which, fair to him.
Mr. Consistent. That's how it was last year, too.
Consistent, yep.
At least it's in points and
At
not
least,
11
yeah,
this
it's in the
time.
points.
I'll take a consistent points runner.
Yeah. Nico finished P11th, just outside the points, but he gained 1 spot. Lance Stroll gained 4 spots this race, finishing in P12.
I feel like that's 2 in a row where it's like it's kind of been a sleeper race. I feel like we were more aware this year because we're like, or this race because we watched the overtake.
Yeah, because we got to see the overtakes and everything. They actually showed it.
So I guess it was another sleeper good race for Lance.
Also, another person that the race was good for, K-Mag, finished P13, gained 5 spots from his starting spot. Valtteri, not so much, down a position. Esteban stayed the same, so progress at least.
That's a win for an Alpine.
That is a win for them. Pierre gained a spot. Now, granted,
win.
that spot may have been from 3 DNFs, but
Yeah.
he gained a spot. Logan gained 2 spots. Again,
DNFs.
may have been from DNFs, but he would have had more.
Yep.
But he almost put it into the wall. So I'm going to count that one as a win. And then your 3 DNFs were Zhou Guanyu because of his gearbox, but he still technically gained 2 positions. Danny Rick loses out 8, and Alex loses out 6, both crashing into each other in a lap 1 racing incident.
We can never say. It's always got to be incident.
Always incident.
And it was pretty much. It was like he just turned it in on me. It's just an incident. Yeah, and I guess we did kind of as we're like seeing how they're gonna do the order, and it was about half a car length. So Danny Rick does get the P19 DNF over the P20 DNF. Oh man, okay, God, what is after China? I don't know. I just know we got to get through China because it's gonna be a 2 to 4 race.
Yeah.
And I know we got Miami, so we got the U.S. track at least.
I was like, that's the last one that I have on my like phone calendar pulled up. Is like, hey, this is when the times for all of this is, which I can probably pull up real quick.
Phil.
Phil.
No.
As
As we don't have, we're not recording on a computer. It's got like 3 monitors. We could have all the
Oh no,
information up ahead of
absolutely.
time.
But hey, type,
Yeah.
type, and click, click, click. When phones are
Tap.
silent, yeah,
A little bit.
for the most part. Racing after China, we have, of course, Miami is next. Then Italy, Emilia Romagna track, and then Monaco.
Oh boy,
It's already almost time for Monaco.
it feels like. I mean, we've had a week. We had the first 2 races. Do we have a week in between the first 2 races? No.
I think we had a week between the. Oh, hold up.
So if saying that, oh yeah, this was only race 4 just seems insane. It feels like it's already been long, and there's still 20 more races once
So
again,
many races.
that's so many races. Hey, and we're also going to be busy because we have decided to also dive head first into our hockey fandom. And both my teams are in the playoffs. Your team
is
basically
trying to.
should have clinched tonight,
They should have.
but damn, whoever it was,
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Yeah. There was not a week between the
Okay.
first two, and then the break happened after that.
Yeah, so 2 week, Australia week, Suzuka week, China week. Is there a week after that too?
Yeah.
So it's just gonna be spread out. But I know we're gonna have. I guess it's good for Williams. Okay, so they got to rebuild a chassis every week. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was like, more time for repairs, I guess.
all right, we're gonna go try to get some sleep because EP and it's like midnight. It's past midnight actually. So we will cover, of course, the Chinese Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. Probably not an off-week episode because we haven't been doing it, and especially right now, I feel like
There's a lot on the plate.
yeah.
Unless we want to have a hockey wrap-up off-season week.
That's what we'll do on off-season weeks. We'll do the hockey for like Valtteri, where the crossover is. All right. Before we get to too EP and delirious more than we already are, we'll see you next week. We won't. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
That's
No
so
goals.
many weeks. No goals. There's your NHL reference. All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Follow the pod everywhere at DSQ Pod. And follow the crew at Medic50 and at GoaluCody30.